I don't wanna.
Should I stay or should I go?
I need to know that you're a guy that can take care of his shit. Asshole!
I can handle it.
Hey everyone, Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of The Film Cave. Today we're going to be talking about Caught Stealing. This is the new film by Darren Aronofsky, and it stars Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, and Regina King. A bartender is asked by his shady punk rock neighbor to watch his cat. After this, the bartender finds himself being stalked by two different criminal gangs and basically has to figure out how to get out of this mess. And as I mentioned, this was the newest film directed by Darren Aronofsky, and to be honest, I had no idea, going into this film, I had no idea that he was the director. I wasn't even really sure if I was going to see this movie until I found out that Darren Aronofsky was the director. And I am really, really glad that I did. Not only was I a fan of this film, that I really loved this film. This might be my favorite film of the year. I'm not even exaggerating. No strings attached. This is not the setup of a joke. I really loved everything about this movie. It's based on a book of the same name, which I'm not familiar with, so I can't really give any insight on that. This film is very 90s. Not only in that it takes place in the late 90s, it takes place in 1998, but also in that its plot carries a lot of elements that were going on in the 90s. A little bit of some spoilers here, but the plot is a bartender who was an up-and-coming athlete, after suffering a huge accident, ends up losing his opportunity to turn pro, has a girlfriend who is way more responsible than he is and somewhat out of his league, but he got her anyway. It was definitely a thing in the 90s. I was a kid in the 90s. I was born in 1992. Seeing a lot of the imagery in this film and what was going on really just made me remember when I was 6 years old, being plopped down in front of the TV, playing Primal Rage, Mortal Kombat, or Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis. And the San Francisco Giants were really good. Hearing names like Barry Bonds, it was an awesome time. It really was. This film has a lot going on, yet it never feels convoluted or messy. It never feels like it's getting away from its own plot or that it's getting a little too ridiculous. The cast does very well. Everybody is just giving it their all, and they're a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I barely even recognized Austin Butler. Zoe Kravitz and Matt Smith aren't really in the film as much as you'd think, but when they are, they're pretty damn good. Especially Matt Smith. As a fan of Doctor Who, it was a lot of fun to see Matt Smith playing this punk rock, shady neighbor that's getting himself into some serious and legal trouble. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about the cast in this film. Regina King is also a lot of fun to watch. Of course, she's a lot of fun to watch wherever she is. There's a lot of small things that make you remember what was going on at the time, if you were alive during this time. As I said, hearing Barry Bonds, his name being called as the Giants are playing in the playoffs and or at this point chasing a pennant. Hearing names like Barry Bonds really took me back, and I think that's the biggest thing that this film had going for it, is it wasn't just a film that is a giant love letter to the 90s. It embraces everything about its 90s vibe, its 90s feel, and it just owns it. It never feels like it's making fun of the 90s. It never feels like it's poking fun or being unnecessarily crude. it just through and through felt like a 90s film. That really is the best thing I could say about it. It's also a film that just doesn't really take itself that serious, and it's kind of funny because Darren Aronofsky makes a lot of very serious, very complex movies. And then there's this. This comes along, which isn't super complex. Although there is a lot going on, like I said, it never feels messy or convoluted. There isn't really like any kind of special little thing that you really need to pay attention to. Although I do think a second viewing of this film, I probably would notice some things that I didn't notice before. So, all in all, I think it just speaks to Darren Aronofsky's talent that he was able to not take himself very serious this time around and still crank out a film that I very much think is worth seeing on the big screen. Nothing super like groundbreaking happens. There's no like huge special effects or anything. It's just a really fun, good old grungy 90s film about a guy who had everything going for him, lost it, had to pick up the pieces, and never really quite learned how to pick up the pieces properly. If you're a fan of 90s films, if you were a child in the 90s like I was, there's definitely something for you to enjoy in this film. And if you're a fan of Darren Aronofsky in general, I would say go check this film out. It's definitely one that is worth seeing, in my opinion. Genuinely speaking, this really might be my favorite film of the year. I really love this film. The more I think about it, the more I actually want to go back and see it again. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. Be sure to let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of Caught Stealing, if you've seen it. And if you were a kid in the 90s like me, what did you have a Sega Genesis or a Super Nintendo, and what were you playing, man? Throw it in the comment section below. Let's get a conversation going about this. Where are my 90s kids at? Come on. Alright, guys. Until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Cujo Productions saying, stay awesome.